from those two. As you might see, we've had ourselves something of an accident. But I guess there are plenty of you out there that see that as something of a godsend, as my furry little friend was something of a point of contention. But hey, we may see it return one day yet. But back to the more important task, as today we have another Impy Pastry Stout, and yet another new brewery for the channel. So let us welcome in Three Hills Brewing. Founded back in 2017 and named after a local Neolithical burial site in the Northamptonshire countryside, Three Hills are experimental to the core, producing small batch brews, pushing boundaries to create the interesting. So very much good people after my very own heart. And in 2020 they opened the Outpost on the famous Bermondsey Mile. And it was in fact in there where I picked up this very same can. BPAVK, the series of Imperial Pastry Stouts, double mashed for extra viscosity and designed to be rich, complex, robust, and of course very, very decadent. And this right here is the vanilla custard tart version. Apparently it's an amped up version of the baby brew, but turned up to 11, quite literally. But as I've unfortunately not had that baby brew, there'll be no comparisons today. Vanilla aromas sit beautifully on top of thick, creamy, buttery mouthfeel with deliberate notes of chocolate. This has been pumped full of vanilla to give it that well-balanced dessert in a can profile. And we all know just how much I like me those desserts in cans. So I'm more than a little excited to get a little slice of this. So let's get pouring. Oh, that does smell phenomenal. Huge wafts of custard really hit you in the face. It is super creamy and that vanilla, oh, right on point. It doesn't just smell like a dessert inspired beer, it smells like a straight up dessert. And there are just some subtle notes of chocolate hidden in there too. I won't lie, that could be one of the best smelling beers I've come across in quite some time. I'm almost afraid to get stuck in. Can it truly live up to that aroma? Oh, I just can't do it. So wow, that really is surprisingly chocolatey. But that creamy vanilla yogurt is right in behind. And you know what? It is sweet, but it isn't overly sweet. But it is, oh, so moreish. And there is just a rich, slightly roasted malty note in that finish, but it does fade out with a subtly sweet chocolate and just a lick of that 11%. It may well have been that tash catching some of the aromas, but this truly is a beaut on the nose. And it is just a dream in the mouth. And I tell you what, it's another that's got a real heavy carbonation to it, but boy, sipping it, you don't get a single feel of it at all. It is just smooth and silky all across the mouth. But it must be said, that custard and that vanilla, they are quite light and quite airy, so maybe it is that carbonation just playing with that note a little bit. And as well as that light and airy vanilla and custard note, that pastry and doughy note is also quite light and fluffy too. And they're both combining together to give it that beautiful mouthfeel. And now we're down into the final third. I've actually got to admit, I know a few people have actually tried this brew before and weren't overly impressed with it, which is why it's really taken me by surprise, as it has been exactly what it says on the tin. If a vanilla custard Impy Stout is what you're craving, then this sure delivers. It has remained sweet and creamy and so beautifully balanced, as those rich and roasted malts and that little tickle of booze is always on hand to rein in that sweetness should it ever get a little out of hand. And boy, is it smooth and light and just so easy to drink. Not always something you can level at an Impy Stout. And as a spoiler, I think I picked up another Impy Stout along with this one, so that could very well be our next beer.